It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catalfamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. I want to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we're talking holiday safety, and my guest in studio today is Cottonwood Fire Marshal Rick Contreras. Rick, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too. It is the holiday season. We are about, a week away today, a week away from Thanksgiving. But if you go to Walmart, it's been Christmas since September. Yep. But it is holiday season, and there's going to be a lot of family members. There's going to be a lot of cooking. There's going to be a lot of little kids. So we wanted to kind of give a full overview, Thanksgiving and Christmas, of holiday safety tips, and that's why we brought you in. You are the expert. First and foremost, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking. How important is it you got that turkey in the oven? How important is it to kind of keep an eye on your food cooking, either on the stove or in the oven?
Absolutely important. We recommend to people to not leave the kitchen unattended while cooking because, like you said, we get a lot of family in town, very busy. The kitchen is the heart of the home, and so especially at Thanksgiving, and everybody's, the hustle and bustle, and everybody's busy making stuff. So we want to make sure everybody has a safe holiday, nice, safe Christmas. Make sure everything's operating correctly, your stove, your oven, all your utensils, utilities, that you got to plug in and those kind of things. But Thanksgiving is the #1 day of home fires. And it makes sense, everybody's cooking that extra meal that year. So we want to make sure that nothing happens, definitely in Cottonwood or surrounding areas, but in northern Arizona,
Yeah, so it'd be extremely important to keep an eye on that stuff like that. I mean, usually, some people will want to, leave a turkey in the oven and kind of set a timer and just keep an eye on it, but you definitely got to stick around. Like you said, #1 season for house fires.
Yep, #1 day.
#1 day for house fires. But we cook on Christmas. I know that some people cook on Christmas, but Thanksgiving is kind of just cooking. That's the whole day.
Yeah, and Christmas is #2.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So,
that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Is #3 4th of July? I'm gonna take a shot and guess that. But like I said, a lot of family members during Thanksgiving and Christmas. You get a lot of little kids. Cousins, nephews, nieces, grandkids, great-grandkids, whatever the case may be. Usually, the rule of thumb is to kind of keep the younger kids out of the kitchen, but I wanted to flip that. I wanted to say, for me, as a younger kid, when I was a little kid, I always loved participating in the cooking aspect of Thanksgiving. I still love to cook, but how can kids kind of get involved with the cooking, but in a safe manner?
Yeah, and that's a great point. Safe manner. We still recommend that 3-foot clearance from the stove. We don't want typically kids to have knives and run around with those kind of things. Not typically, but if they're supervised with a responsible adult and there's some mixing that could happen or desserts, or definitely the kids can be part of that, and because it is a great family tradition in the USA, and there's no reason why a kid can't be responsible with a responsible adult and enjoy part of that interaction with the family.
Yeah, definitely mixing. I mean, you just press a button on a blender and keep an eye on it. You definitely do that.
Absolutely.
How do you properly dispose of used cooking oil?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of people want to do their frying of the turkeys. It's a big item. Phoenix Fire does a great job of video every year of showing you. It's usually on YouTube where they put a frozen turkey or wet turkey in a fryer and it flashes and it causes a great fire. We never want to cook a fryer inside a home or a structure. 10 feet away would probably be best.
Right.
You don't want to extinguish a fire with water. But the hot cooking oil, you want to make sure it cools. And make sure once it's cooled down, safe to touch, you want to be able to dispose to it in a correct spot, in a good device that's not going to burn later on in the middle of the night or something like that. When you're frying, you want to make sure you have your skin covered up, eye protection. Some of these things that can really damage you and hurt you really bad.
Now, getting back to the frozen turkey, getting back to the frying of the turkey, which is something that I've personally never experienced, but I've seen videos of it. How important is it to thaw out that turkey? I mean, like you said, a frozen turkey or first of all, frozen turkey is not going to cook properly anyway because some parts are going to be more defrosted than the other, so already that's a bad idea.
Right.
But how important is it really to thaw out foods in general before you start cooking them?
Yeah, because, like we said, you're not even supposed to drop it in the fryer. You're supposed to place it in the fryer.
It's like a ladder system or something like that, right?
Yeah, because, well, they have special turkey fryers. That's probably the safest thing to use, but a lot of people just use their big fryer and they put them in. So you definitely don't want to have it frozen. There's innards you got to take out of it as well, so you don't want that. So you want to make sure your holiday safety is as safe as possible. The meal's great, and nobody gets hurt. You know, that just would ruin the whole time.
Yeah, you don't want to get hurt and your food sucks. I mean, that's just a horrible Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
How about, okay, let's say you do start a grease fire. What is the proper way to put that out? I've heard baking soda, definitely not water.
Not water.
Yeah, 100% not water, but I've heard baking soda, baking powder, maybe one of those.
Yeah, no, we don't. A proper fire extinguisher would be correct because I know, I'm probably a lot older than you are, so a long time ago people were saying throwing flour on a grease fire or baking soda like that, and you know, that was the traditional way. But if you know you're going to be frying on a pot, frying up other foods on your stove, make sure you have a tight-fitting lid that goes on top of your pan. And if it's starting to smoke and it's getting to that smoke point, shut off your heat, put the lid on, then you can move the pot. If you leave that on the heat, it's going to continue to burn, it's going to flash, and you can have a big fire right away. So we don't want to see that at all.
What are some other Thanksgiving tips for people to keep in mind before they start cooking or they start welcoming in their guests? Well,
that's the thing. You know, you get a lot of people from out of town, and not everybody's in the right state of mind sometimes, you know, celebrating the holidays too much. And so, you know, you have a lot of different things going on. It's really busy. A lot of people in your house from the neighbors or your friends, and so it can get crazy. It can get out of hand sometimes. We've all experienced it. And you just want to make sure that everything's in a tight order. You want to make sure that, you know, a clean house is a safe house. NFPA recommends even the kids not having their toys strung all over the place where you're going to step and fall on them and spill stuff, and hot liquid burns on the kids or anybody. So we want to make sure and we maintain all that, keeping your handles turned inside on the stove. Don't let anybody bump into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, you really got to be vigilant when you're in the kitchen, especially during Thanksgiving, because, you know, like I said, the entire holiday is centered around cooking.
Yep.
And you don't want to be cooking and something horrible happens, like you knock over a pot or you spill something. So are there anything else, any other Thanksgiving related safety tips that we have? I mean, it sounds like, you know, if your kids are going to participate in the kitchen, make sure that it's safe and it's supervised, heavily supervised if it's going to be involving knives or anything that isn't mixing. Number two, if you have a grease fire, just smother it essentially, or use your fire extinguisher.
Yep.
And then, you know, just be vigilant. Really, you just got to really pay attention during Thanksgiving. Don't walk away from cooking. Don't leave the house when you've got something cooking.
Exactly.
And that includes something in like a crock pot or an instant pot. And then also something in the oven as well. First of all, it might burn. You don't want to burn turkey because then you just ruin the whole holiday.
That's right.
But I mean, is there any other tips that we have?
Well, leading up before Thanksgiving, like you got a week out, you know, if your stove or oven is not working properly, you want to make sure and get that looked at. Don't use it. You know, we've gone to house fires where people's electrical panel always trips, and they always just go flip it back and continue doing what they do, and then they have a house fire. If your oven or any appliances are doing that, don't use them.
Yeah, so definitely get everything serviced. Be very, very safe this Thanksgiving season. You want to make sure that, you know, you don't ruin the holidays from an accident that could have been prevented, like a faulty stove or maybe even an outlet that's not necessarily working to its best. But anyway,
absolutely,
we are going to move our focus to Christmas as we are about a month away. Well, not even a month away, about 2 weeks away from starting the December season and going into Christmas. So we're going to talk a little bit about Christmas safety when we come back on the other side of this break. You're watching Countywide. Don't go anywhere.
Feng Shui artistry, the oldest form of development planning, today known as the art of placement. For 26 years, master Feng Shui educator, practitioner, artist, and author Caroline Patrick Bournet has used ancient rules of environmental, physical, and spiritual harmony to support clients' health, knowledge, creativity, and success. In mapping your home, you'll understand yourself. Better living is the gift of a lifetime. Change your life one room at a time. Schedule your Home Therapy 101 consultation today.
Show your customers how much they matter to you. Follow up with a real card in just 60 seconds with Send Out Cards. Send Out Cards makes it easy for busy professionals to leave a memorable impression. Stay in touch with a simple one-step process from your phone or computer to their mailbox. Call Judy today at 928-202-2557. That's 928-202-2557.
Been hearing about the crazy benefits of CBD? Find out how CBD can help you at Sedona's #1 resource, CBD Sedona. Come in for a free consultation and let our trained medical staff help you find the perfect product for you. Pain-relieving salves, full-spectrum oils, honeys, teas, cookies, and even CBD for pets. Ready to feel fantastic? Come on by CBD Sedona today.
Metaphysics. What does it mean? It's a branch of philosophy, literally beyond the science of matter. Sedona's University of Metaphysics studies the ultimate nature of existence, reality, and experience. Join 14,000 graduates in over 120 countries, helping others in counseling, coaching, ministry, and much more. The University of Metaphysics is here to serve the best in you so you can serve the best in others. universityofmetaphysics.com.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. I want to thank you for joining us on the other side of that break. We are talking holiday safety, and we've shifted our focus to Christmas. My guest in studio is Cottonwood Fire Marshal Rick Contreras. Rick, we talked about Thanksgiving. Now let's change our focus to the other major holiday in the fall season, Christmas time, or AKA my favorite time of the year. I absolutely love Christmas. I'm actually born on a holiday. I'm born on Halloween, but I love Christmas way more than I do Halloween. I'm going to be completely honest about that.
That's awesome.
But Christmas, much like Thanksgiving, also comes with some dangers and also comes with some holiday safety tips and some things for people to keep in mind. You and I during the break, we're talking about decorating. So I think we should start there. What is the difference between outdoor and indoor Christmas lights?
Well, the way they're rated by the manufacturer, you want to make sure you're using the proper, let's say, Christmas holiday lights. A lot of people light up their house, and you don't want to have a fire because you use the wrong device. That happens. And but you don't want to plug in too many strands of lights together. If you've seen Christmas Vacation,
I was gonna, or even A Christmas Story, where you have all the plugs and stuff.
Yeah. There you go. The breaker keeps
trying to put in the lamp. Yeah.
So you want to make sure, always follow the manufacturer recommendation. We don't want to put up lights that have frayed wires and those kind of things. Lights that are out. And you don't want them submerged in water. Today's a rainy day, or rare day in Arizona this year. But, it's just some common sense. I know people are on a budget, and they're spending a lot of money typically in the holidays, and they want to use those lights one more year, get one more year out of them. But if it's time to get rid of them, get rid of them. They're not too expensive, and they're easy to replace.
And something like that, kind of taking almost an inventory before you start putting up your Christmas lights and taking a look. Okay, do these lights have any cuts in them? Are the plugs in working order? Are the little gold pointy plug thing, whatever, it's plugged into the wall. You know what I'm talking about. Are they bent? Are they broken? It's really, you should really pay attention how many lights when you plug them in, how many lights are still lit up. Just things to keep an eye on before you start hanging them up, because everybody does it. You buy a set of Christmas lights, so you get at least maybe 2 or 3 years out of them. You don't got to buy them every year. Yeah, exactly. And pre-inspection and test is great, like you're just talking about. And if you got to get rid of them, just you could just get on a rotation where every few years you're not replacing the whole entire strand, but maybe sections at a time, and it works out great. And you can make your house look nice and have a successful holiday. A very safe, successful holiday. And absolutely. Maybe, I know some of those neighborhoods have like the holiday Christmas competitions. And you don't want to be putting out all those lights and you got 3 or 5 sections that are just completely blacked out because you forgot to check your lights. Right, or a fire. Yeah, or a fire, which is 1,000 times worse than your reputation as the best Christmas lights in the neighborhood. But anyway. Extension cords. Yep, I was going to talk about that. Yeah, they're huge, especially outside, because most of the time, probably all of the time, those Christmas lights, they're not going to reach down into that outlet outside because they're hanging about 5 feet above it. So extension cords, you got to make sure that you don't use indoor extension cords outside. Right. what is the difference between an outdoor extension cord and an indoor extension cord?
Well, the way they're rated again, and you want to make sure that it's not submerged in water, and if it's rated for outdoor use, again, you don't want them pinched or frayed or cut or any of those kind of things, because it's just going to lead to potential problems. And I see it on job sites. I see it all the time. People got duct tape or electrical tape wrapped around it because they smashed a cord or cut it open. But those are the kind of things, that safety is key, and you get away with it for a long time. If the one day it does catch fire or cause a problem, you got a bigger problem on your hands, and we end up showing up at your house.
A lot of people have those sort of, I don't want to call them circuit breakers because that's not what they're called, surge protectors. There we go. Definitely don't plug surge protectors into extension cords, correct?
Yeah, and don't overload those too. Right. Stack up, plugs upon plugs in those. Yeah, everything's rated for a certain use. Read the instructions, manufactured recommendations. We tell that to everybody all the time about different stuff, and follow those instructions. Just a little time and effort before you hang all this, and inspect your equipment and make sure you're in good working order. You don't want to leave those lights on overnight, plugged in all night long. It could lead to a potential problem that you wouldn't be aware of if you're asleep.
Well, what's great is you go down to Home Depot and you can get one of those light timers. My dad has those. He always uses them for Christmas time so that they can click on at a certain time and then click off at night or in the daytime, however he had it. But it's something to think about as well, so you don't have to go out there and turn them off manually.
Yeah, it saves you that time and hassle. So, yeah.
But another thing is Christmas trees. Obviously, the centerpiece of Christmas is the Christmas tree. When I was growing up, we always had a plastic tree because I lived in the desert of California and pine trees just didn't exist. But here in beautiful Cottonwood, there is pine trees galore. Ponderosa pines, other versions of pine trees. But nonetheless, a lot of people get their Christmas trees here and they get them fresh. What is probably the #1 rule when picking out a Christmas tree?
Yeah, so if you're going to buy one, say at a Home Depot or one of the local stores, any of the tree lot, you want to make sure that the needles aren't falling off excessively when you go to buy it. They typically cut the end of the trunk off. So when you're going to keep it in water at your home, you want to check that water at least twice a day, because at the beginning they're really going to absorb that water. You want to keep your tree as fresh as possible to survive the holiday season and not have a problem in your home. Those Christmas tree fires inside your home can be devastating within seconds. In 30 seconds time, you're just not only just burning the tree up, you'd be burning furniture, start catching your other stuff in your house. Yeah, absolutely. And if it's 2 in the morning and you don't have working smoke detectors, you're going to have a big problem. You're not going to be able to get your kids out like you think you are, your in-laws or whoever's at your home. So you got another thing, doing a safety walk in your home, doing an inspection, making sure this is all working properly. And
how do you keep that tree nice and green and fresh? You want it to stay as lively as possible. I know once they cut the tree off of the stump, it starts to slowly start its decaying process. But you want that tree to stay green at least on the 25th and maybe even the 24th. So is there any kind of proper tree care that you can do to make sure that it stays green?
When people ask me about that, because it does come up and around now, I would say don't buy your tree too early. Because they'll start selling them here pretty quick. And so some people, have them for a long time. But if you get them a month out, you have that bigger potential of it drying out and being a bigger hazard. It is a huge hazard. I can't stress to people enough how big of a hazard that really is. I always love the smell of a fresh cut tree, and I always had them for years in my house. And I do not have one now. And I know a lot of people do, and they're great. But I went to a fake tree because of the fire hazard. That's just the risk, I just don't want to even have that in my house.
Now, of course, the plastic tree can still catch on fire, so you want to be very, very safe when you're hanging your Christmas lights, and we're going to talk about that when we come back on the other side of this break. We're going to keep talking about Christmas time and making sure that you keep your holidays safe and fun for everybody when we come back on the other side of this break. Countywide will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle. Get Gettles.
Hi, this is Greg at Verde Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verde Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
Hi, Todd of Todd's Appliances, your hometown appliance store. Studies have shown that when you buy from an independently, locally owned business rather than a box store, a lot more of your money stays local, therefore strengthening our community. From basic to high-end, we carry name brand appliances. Visit our store on Main Street in Camp Verde. With same-day, next-day service, we service what we sell what we service the least. ToddsAppliances.com, 567-3062.
Hi, I'm your host, Smokey Colbert. Filling in for Smokey, because after 75 years of...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Turns out there's much more to say. Nearly 90% of wildfires are caused by us humans being careless, dumping our used barbecue coals willy-nilly. Guess the song was wrong. We did start the fire. That's why I respect Mother Nature and her trees, whether coniferous or new car scented. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
I want to welcome you back to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. My guest in studio today is Cottonwood Fire Marshal Rick Contreras. We were talking holiday safety. We were talking about Christmas trees before we went to break. When is it time to dispose of your Christmas tree?
Well, everybody typically gets rid of it after Christmas, but hey, don't delay. If it's before Christmas and it's on its way out, get rid of it, unfortunately. But that's why we say don't buy it too early. But if right after the holidays, clean it out, get the needles out of your house. A lot of people in Cottonwood ask, they call the fire station, where do I get rid of it? A lot of places have the recycling. Right. They have drop-offs. You can look at the city's website, and they'll show where you could drop off your Christmas tree. What about hanging lights? You know, you mentioned National Lampoon earlier. I always picture that scene of Clark hanging up all those Christmas lights, and Rusty's down there. Classic. Trying to hold on to the ladder. Yep. But it's a very, very dangerous thing. You've got a shaky ladder, or you've got somebody who's not too confident holding it for you, or they get distracted. I mean, a lot of people get hurt hanging up their own Christmas lights. Do you have any safety tips? Yeah, well, make sure your ladder's in good working condition. Make sure the ground below is, level, stable. This year, with the rains and stuff, the ground might be a little softer and those kind of things. And you want a competent, strong person down there spotting you because you don't want to fall. No. It's a hard injury to get over. Cause even worse than just an injury. And you don't want to put staples or nails through the wiring. Right. You don't want to get your thumb. Ooh. You want to light up the holidays, not your house. You don't want to cause a fire. Yeah. So you don't want to get electrical shock, those kind of things. Just some basic smart 101 safety tips there, We'll shift back indoors. Carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors are extremely important to make sure that you keep those up to date, not only through the holiday season, but in general. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Year-round, we encourage that. We do a smoke detector program in Cottonwood, and I'm sure a lot of the other agencies in northern Arizona do it as well. But we always tell people, give them a birthday, change the batteries out once a year, test them monthly, make sure they're in the right location, because that is key at 2 in the morning when a fire happens, that you get that early detection to wake you up and to get you out, you and your kids, your family, and go to your meeting place outside. Don't go back in the house. Get 911, call the fire department, have us respond as soon as possible. And if I've got a smoke detector that I'm not sure about, if it needs to be replaced or not, I can call the fire department and you guys will come and look at it? Yeah, we'll come and do an inspection. They have a life that, after a certain amount of years, they're no good anymore, and you can go get them replaced. There's a number in the back typically, and you can go to a local hardware store and be able to get one that matches up and just plugs right in.
So obviously it is a little wet outside now and a little snowy in some places. You've got relatives coming out. Just quickly, how safe is it, how important is it to express to your relatives coming from out of state or out of town to be safe on the roads when they come into your house?
Yeah, absolutely. So even, this year's been really weird with the weather. We haven't had the rain, so a lot of oil's on the road and the roads are slick. And then if you're in the high country, like Flagstaff, they're getting snow, and it's a little different. We haven't had that for a while. So, yeah, slow down, take your time, make sure you arrive safely. Don't injure yourself, your family, or other people on the road, because we do respond to a lot of car wrecks, and they're unfortunate.
Well, keep your holidays safe. We've got so many great tips for you. Rick, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
You're
Good to see you
definitely
again.
somebody I like seeing outside of a fire, because it's nice to talk with you. But keep your holidays safe. Remember these tips for a safe and secure holiday season. I want to thank my guest, Rick Contreras, for coming in. I've been your host, Philip Catalfamo, and in the words of our news director, Paul David. We'll talk to you again next time.